Have you ever watched a video of someone and just known, instinctively, that you were witnessing the last moments of their life? It's a strange, heavy feeling. There's no big explosion, no obvious catastrophe. There's just a person. And then, suddenly, there's not. There's a piece of security camera footage out there that captures this exact feeling perfectly. It shows a young man, looking perfectly normal, walking through an airport terminal. He's calm, he's collected, and then, for a reason no one can explain, he just bolts. He sprints out of the building as if his life depends on it, across the tarmac, and over a tall barbed wire fence into a dense forest. And then, he's gone. This is the last known recording of a 28-year-old man named Lars Mittank, and the mystery of why he ran is one of the most unsettling questions you'll ever ask yourself. Before that horrifying sprint, Lars Mittank was just a completely normal guy. To understand how truly bizarre his disappearance is, you have to understand who he was. Born in Germany, Lars was 28 years old, a kind and quiet young man by all accounts. He had a steady job at a power plant, a loving girlfriend, and a good relationship with his family, especially his mother, Sandra. She was a huge fan of the Werder Bremen football club, and he wasn't some experienced, hardened traveler. He was just a regular guy, who, like so many people his age, decided to go on a summer vacation with his friends. They weren't looking for trouble. They were just a group of buddies heading to a popular resort town to relax, watch the World Cup, and enjoy the sun. Nothing about Lars, his personality, or his life up to that point suggested he was on the verge of a crisis. There were no red flags, no history of erratic behavior, no signs that he was about to become the subject of one of the internet's most haunting mysteries. He was just a son, a boyfriend, a friend, on a normal trip. The destination was a place called Golden Sands in Bulgaria, a popular Black Sea resort known for its beaches and nightlife. The trip started out exactly as you'd expect. Lars and his 5 friends spent their days at the beach and their evenings in the local bars and restaurants, watching the 2014 World Cup matches. It was, by all accounts, a fun and uneventful vacation. But on one of the last nights of their trip, things took a turn. The group was at a fast food restaurant when Lars got into a minor disagreement with another group of tourists over their favorite football teams. It was a silly, post-bar argument, the kind that usually amounts to nothing. Lars, who wasn't much of a fighter, walked away from his friends to avoid the confrontation. The details of what happened next are a little murky, but according to Lars, he was attacked later that night by a group of men hired by the people he argued with. He told his friends he was hit in the head, resulting in a ruptured eardrum. This injury would change everything. Because of the ruptured eardrum, a doctor advised him that it wasn't safe to fly home with his friends as scheduled. The change in air pressure during takeoff and landing could cause serious complications. So, his friends flew back to Germany, leaving Lars behind to recover for a day or two. He checked into a cheap hotel near the airport, and this is where his behavior started to become truly strange. Alone in a foreign country, he began to feel anxious and paranoid. He called his mother Sandra, in a panic. He whispered on the phone, telling her that he didn't feel safe and that 4 men were trying to rob or possibly kill him. He told her to cancel his credit cards. He said he was hiding. He sent her a text message asking about a particular antibiotic, cefuroxime 500. His mother was, of course, deeply worried. The friendly, happy-go-lucky son she knew had been replaced by someone who sounded terrified and confused. The next morning, Lars took a taxi to Varna Airport, hoping to finally get a doctor's clearance to fly home. His mother had booked him a bus ticket as a backup, and he was supposed to meet a woman at the airport who would help him, but the paranoia seemed to follow him. During the taxi ride, he was agitated, his eyes wide with fear. At the airport, he called his mother again, his voice filled with a quiet terror. He told her they wouldn't let him fly and they wouldn't let him leave. He was convinced he was being followed. He managed to find the airport's medical center to see the doctor. And this is where the timeline slows down, where every single movement becomes critical because it's all captured on that silent, grainy CCTV camera. The footage shows Lars entering the small doctor's office. He has his luggage with him. He looks like any other traveler. The airport doctor later said that Lars seemed nervous and erratic, but that he was relieved when the doctor told him he was cleared to fly. The doctor was in the process of examining him when, suddenly, a man in a construction worker's uniform entered the office. What happened next is the core of this entire mystery. The moment the worker walked in, Lars's demeanor completely changed. He jumped up from his seat as if he'd been electrocuted. He looked utterly terrified. He muttered something like, "I don't want to die here," and then he just ran. The CCTV camera in the hallway captures the moment perfectly. Lars, without any of his belongings, not his wallet, not his phone, not his passport's prints out of the doctor's office. He doesn't hesitate. He runs with the kind of primal fear you only see when someone believes their life is in immediate danger. He bolts past the check-in counters, through the main terminal, and out the main entrance. The camera outside shows him continuing his desperate sprint across the airport grounds. He doesn't stop. He reaches a 2.5-meter-tall barbed wire fence that borders the airport property. In a feat of pure, adrenaline-fueled panic, he climbs it, disappearing over the top and into a dense sunflower field and adjoining forest. That was the last time anyone ever saw Lars Mittank. The search began almost immediately. His mother, Sandra, flew to Bulgaria as soon as she lost contact with him. She hired a private investigator. They put up missing person posters all over the Varna area. The Bulgarian police, with the help of search dogs and thermal imaging drones, scoured the vast forest and sunflower fields that Lars had run into. But they found nothing. Not a single trace. No discarded clothing. No footprints, not his body. It was as if the earth had just swallowed him whole. Over the years, there have been countless reported sightings. A truck driver claimed to have given a lift to a disheveled-looking man who fit Lars's description. A homeless man found living in the woods in another country was thought to be him. But every single lead, every promising tip, has led to a dead end. The man in the woods was someone else. The truck driver's story couldn't be verified. For his family, it has been an agonizing decade of silence and unanswered questions. All they have is that final, terrifying video. So, why does this case haunt people so intensely? It's not just that a man vanished. It's how he vanished. We have the evidence. We can watch it happen. We see a man in a state of absolute terror, running from something. But the camera can't show us what he was running from. Was it a real threat? Was he being pursued by the men he fought in the bar? Or was he suffering from a sudden and severe paranoid delusion, perhaps triggered by the head injury, the antibiotics he took, or a combination of stress and fear? The man in the construction uniform was identified as a regular airport worker, and he stated he was just entering the room for a routine reason. He had no idea who Lars was. So was the threat entirely in Lars's mind. The footage gives us the what, but it completely denies us the why. And that gap, that unbridgeable space between what we see and what we understand, is what makes this story so deeply unsettling. We are watching a man run for his life from a phantom, an enemy that only he can see. Lars Mittank ran from something only he could see, and was never seen again. That is going to do it for today, but if you enjoyed this story, be sure to check out our channel right here. We're going to be dropping stories every single day, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a thing. I really appreciate you guys spending your time here with me today. Until next time, from Silent Secret Stories, every secret has a story.